I've selected 4 easy make favorites for fall. We're going to start out with the foam dice, and these are the square ones. I picked the pumpkin and the teal, vintage teal, for the chalk paints to place on these dice. As you see, I've already done a base coat of white, and on 3 sides I have took my paintbrush and I've just done some scruffy brushing around the edges. I did 3 sides of the vintage teal and 3 sides with the Waverly pumpkin. This way I can use them year round, and with this selection of words that I'm going to be sharing with you, you'll find that you will like using them year round as well. Once you've gotten 3 sides painted of 2 different colors, set them aside and let them dry real good. This particular letters I chose because they have 2 of each one of the alphabet within the pack. And I go ahead and pre-write out the words that I desire to put on my dice. And that gives me an idea of how many I will need on each side. Most of these words, the letter is duplicated. So with this first one, there are 2 L's. There are 2 A's and 2 F's. And as you can see, I am just rolling them over. Now, as I make these dice, I'm going to show you and share with you some easy ways to keep up with it, and you'll be able to duplicate them or make your own. With this one, I selected to put y'all on the teal blue as well. On each one of these dice, they are lettered differently. With the dice having 6 sides, it's real easy to duplicate the letters and just keep them duplicated. It's just a whole lot easier than trying to think it out. Since the one dice already has 2 L's on it, I'm going to place the O, V, and E on the next dice. The E, of course, will be duplicated as well. Now, as I move along, I've got 2 A's, one on the orange and one on the teal. The other blocks I'm turning so that I can see the pumpkin. And I'm putting pray. And as you see, there's 2 Y's on this block. As I move forward, I'm putting some of my favorites, and I check them off as I go. This way, I know I've already got the letters I need to complete that particular word on my block. Now, I made these blocks some time ago, and the reason why I made them is I need a new planner, and I damaged a pan of mine in my kitchen. So what I decided to do was make some of these foam dice, and I could select the word and place it on there because this will be my mom planner. This word, I'm placing life. Now, I'm looking around on that dice and I see that I don't have an E on the orange, so that was easy to fill in. And then this particular one, I'm making the word home because love uses the O, but also home uses the O. And the other word that I had selected uses the H. In the opposing blocks, I wouldn't need to use the other letters, so it worked out really well. And just balance your blocks. You can make any word you want. I also know that I can make leaf, and I'm going to share with you one of my favorites called frog. And with frog, it is simply forever rely on God. And that one I'll use pretty often. So if I am fixing my planner and I'm selecting the block words on my planner, I can easily give messages to my family members and let them know what mom's thinking, how mom's feeling with just my little word blocks. So maybe I'm saying fall, and maybe I'm saying y'all, and maybe I'm telling them love, and always reminding them of how much they mean to me. And I'm showing you here how I have lettered each one of these blocks individually, just rolling them over, and then I'll turn it side to side so you can see how I did each block. This created the word fall, y'all, love, life, pray, shag when I go dancing, and frog. And remember, home and live is on there too. Next, we're going to make this beautiful pumpkin sign, this vintage, old-fashioned looking pumpkin sign. And I'm repurposing my Be Mine Valentine sign, which is also the Beware sign. It has this neat little scalloped edge on it. Now, to remove the label on the back tag of the upper one, just mist it with a little bit of water. Use your putty knife or scraper, and it will literally rub right off. And it takes very little effort. Let the water kind of sit on there for just a minute, and then rub the difference off with paper towel. And it is smooth as can be and ready, just like it never had a print on it. I'm first applying the ink Waverly chalk paint on this whole entire Beware sign. And I'm going to coat it real good. When I get done, you will not ever know that it had the word Beware on it. And with the Waverly white, I'm going to do that little tag up top. Now, we'll be making some drastic changes to this sign, and I'm going to teach you the chalk wax technique that gives it that vintage look. This is Outrageous Orange by Americano. One of my favorite paints when you're making any of your primitive decor. Americana has all these beautiful colors that are already at the right tone, per se, for your vintage or primitive decor, and it just makes it simple. So take your wax candle of any kind. You don't have to be particular. This one was damaged. My mom had given it to me and it got hot and melted. And rub it all about your board, dust off the difference of the wax. Now you're going to apply your coat, because we already have our black base coat on the board. And the orange we're putting on there, or our outrageous orange, and this will give it that fall look. When this particular coat dries, we'll be able to go back, and I'm showing you the outrageous orange because I've forgotten to show you before. I'm so sorry. So take your putty knife and just slide it across the board. As you can see, I'm turning my hand and putty knife to the right to dump off and dust the excess paint, because what I'm doing is I'm removing the wax that I had placed on there before. And by rubbing this down and dumping it off and just smooth it off, just rub it off with your hand. I did have to wash my hand only because you're removing paint chips per se, but they are waxy paint chips. And it gives it that vintage worn look. Now, the first thing that I was going to do was put Hey Pumpkin, and I was going to use vinyl lettering, which I printed out, went through the whole painstaking. I printed it out, transfer paper, and put it on the sign. And learned a valuable lesson again that I have forgotten about. The Dollar Tree transfer paper is a nightmare. Don't even go there. If you cannot move your letters off of your cup mat onto whatever you're going to put them on within a couple of minutes, the transfer paper adheres to the labels and damages them. So I had to rip it off. But this is why. I took the poster board letters, and they are paper and they're perforated, and popped them out. I had gotten them from Dollar General 3 or 4 years ago. Placed them onto the sign, and I taped them. As you see how I'm tracing them out, I'm letting them stack on top of each other and just tracing them with black marker. You guys know I use my black marker. I took those off, and you can see here that they're traced out perfectly. So just follow the trace of the paper. Then I took my pencil and decided to sketch out the word Hey at the top on the tag. This sign turned out absolutely marvelous. And because these are easy make favorites, they are perfect for your fall decorating. This one will go outside. And when you sketch this out, if you use a white eraser to remove pencil marks, there will be no residue of any kind of graphite left behind, so you can resketch it over and over. This is an excellent way to practice doing your own lettering on your signs. Now taking my orange Sharpie marker, I am going over my letters now. And I am making sure that I follow whatever I sketched out, and then I can remove and erase any pencil marks that are left behind. So now I've got my hay written out, and I'm coloring it out with my orange Sharpie because I have went back and traced behind them with a black Sharpie marker. Now I'm just coloring it in, just like coloring on your favorite coloring book. And make them broad, wide, or as groovy as you like, because this looks like a 1970s groovy hay. And what inspired me on doing the hay this way was I saw a lady doing a DIY on a sign on Pinterest. And I thought, wow, I really like the way that looks. Let me try it out on this sign. Now I took the Waverly chalk paint, and I have my number 12 flat brush. You can pick these up. This is actually a Folk Art set. I have used them for 30 years. They're my favorite, and they have all the correct brushes that you need in a set. You can find the affiliate link in the description box below and try out my very favorite brushes, which are the Folk Art brushes. The ones we've been getting from Dollar Tree are pretty nice, but they've sold out really quick, and I do use them as well. Now, the reason why I'm showing you me painting these letters and taking my time, the letters I traced out, is I want to show you something. This is sped up, so just take your time and practice. It's very soothing, it relieves stress, and it is just good for you. Play some music in the background if you like. I really like the quietness, and the Waverly chalk paint smells like mint, so it's very relaxing. So this is what I did. As you can see, when I did the letter P, I did it below the M per se. In other words, the M is touching the letter P and it's stacked on top of it. And then I just did it as it is traced. I did not put a line there per se. I traced it as though it were an individual freestanding letter. And I painted it and filled it in the same way. As we go along, you will be able to see how I'm talking about. These letters are kind of tumbling on each other. And I took the Waverly chalk paint and went back and covered the tag again because it had gotten really dingy. With your black paint marker, trace your letters out. Now remember, we want that P laying on top of the U. And then we want the letter U to look as though it is lying on top of the letter M. And you'll do that throughout the whole length of your sign. Just remember that the one above is laying on top of the next one down. And this will give it that look as though the letters are just kind of laying and tumbled down on top of each other, almost like a domino effect. Now the good Lord and nature yielded the grapevine wreath vine that I'm using there. I went out and I cut fresh branches, and it is fall, so it is time to go ahead and harvest any vines that I wish to trim off. And I styled them and wrapped them and twisted them around each other and cut them to size. And I took some of the clips that we have and clipped them together and let it dry out a little bit. That way I could still bend it. It was still pliable and flexible. And then I was able to use just a small amount of Sure-Bonder glue, and that put it into place. Because as it dries out a day or so more, it will stay this way forever until I get it wet or soak it in some water. And if I wanted to use this vine again, I could easily remove it and soak it in water. I took the leftover metal sunflower we had back in the summer off the pots and yard signs, and I glued it on to my sign up there where hay is. And I knew I had arrived whenever my husband looked at the sign and said, "Hey, where'd you get the sign?" I said, "I made that." And that's when you know you've done a great DIY. Next up is a little tip that I use. These particular weave baskets from Dollar Tree, these plastic ones, they're excellent. They're smooth rectangular, and I use them as my working basket. This helps me to keep organized, keep my area cleaned up while I'm crafting, and keep all of my ribbons and little things, adorning things, all gathered in one place. Next up is the 3 wooden pumpkins that everyone loves. And we're going to put my twist on this, and you can use it the same. Or perhaps you'll come up with one that you can show off to me. We're going to take the Raffy little bows off of the top. We won't need them. And I love these colors so well, I sanded off the excess glitter, used my heat gun to remove the tags, but these bumped up really easy. They just were too soft. So I'm taking the Moss Waverly chalk and the celery, and I'm going to mix it together and try and match this color green. I loved all the colors of these pumpkins, but the sayings, I only liked the saying on the harvest orange, and I couldn't savor it because the paint was bumped up and these had to be painted. So the outrageous orange went on the harvest orange, and then I took the outrageous orange along with school bus yellow and mixed it together to make this genuine, what they call pumpkin pie orange color. And a genuine pumpkin that you can harvest for pumpkin pies is this color. They're not the deep orange. The deep orange is what you make your jack-o'-lanterns out of, and they don't really have any meat inside of them. Not enough to make a good pie. Now I'm showing you how well they matched. I matched the green perfect, the harvest orange perfect, and then the pumpkin pie is slightly off, but not a lot. And I really, really like the way these turned out. I loved the thankful, grateful, blessed, and the pumpkins on the harvest one. Remember? So grab your white paint marker, and I could still see the letters. And taking my time, I traced out the thankful just as it is written on this pumpkin, the grateful and the blessed as well. Now the white paint marker we're putting on here is for purpose. There's a reason why we're doing this, because there's another step. So stay tuned and hang around, because I'm going to show you how we're going to pump this thing up and really make it look even better. And I'm going to teach you my new updated messy bow inspired by Country Charm Tracy, along with Kathy Jo's DIYs. Now I've gotten to the blessed, and they do their cursive writing a little bit different, but I really like it. I like the style of this cursive writing, and I believe it's called the Amsterdam. I'm not really sure, but that font is pretty common right now and very much in style. And the silhouette pumpkins, the shadow pumpkins down at the bottom, they really truly made these little wood pumpkins. And I know you've seen these done in different ways, but I really truly wanted the 3D effect. I wanted to preserve the color of these pumpkins and at the same time keep it up to date and still make it an easy make favorite for your fall decorating. This would look beautiful in someone's office or sitting about at your coffee bar or your stack tray. Now, I did not sweat it. If you get off the line, you're not even going to know it. You're going to be the only one that will know that. The paint markers are real forgiving, and the chisel tip that's on the paint markers, they're really easy to use. So for your easy make favorites for fall, get you a makeup sponge and grab you one of your stencils that you really love that has a beautiful pattern on it. I have really been loving this particular pattern. It's flowers, and they have just a little bit of leaves and blooms. And very gently just pat it and place it in the corner. This one was going to be on the right side, so I started in the right bottom corner. But that's okay, because you can put them any way you want. And they just really, truly make this high-end look. They're gorgeous. So the next one I put in the upper left-hand corner of the green, thinking that those were the only two that I was going to stencil on there. And as we move along, I'm going to show you another technique of how you can gently distress and really make these pop. So I did go ahead and put a second stencil on the right one and a second stencil on the left one. I kept posing my harvest orange pumpkin in the center as I'm going to put them together, just seeing how it would look. Now this is the distressing I was telling you about. I generally use a distressing ink, but I happen to have one of the foam black ink stamps near me, and I thought I will try this out. Now, it's a trick to it. You just want to touch it around the edges, and you can smear it as much as you like, but bear in mind that this is regular ink stamp. It's not really a distressing ink stamp. We're just using it that way to make these more dimensional and make them pop. That extra little darkness around the edging. So you could distress these with paint, you could use your paint marker, or you could leave them without anything. But it's just another way of adding some tools and skills to your already knowledge of DIY and how you can really truly take just the slightest thing that you have about you and use it. If you're enjoying this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and I appreciate it when you share the video. It helps my channel to grow, and when you like the videos, it lets YouTube know you enjoyed it and will show you more of the like. So now I went ahead and glued the green and the pumpkin pie orange together, and I placed the harvest orange pumpkin in the center on top. This will give it a standing, sitting, dimensional effect. Here's the tip I want to share with you. To remove any ink that you may have touched and moved about, use one of the moist wipes that has a little bit of alcohol in it and just rub it off. Using the dimensional paint, I selected white. They have it in different colors at Dollar Tree, and I'm literally going over top of the letters that I done with the white paint marker. Take the Raffy bows and just pull them out straight, because we're going to make a messy bow with these. And I just twist them to straighten them out. A little bit of heat from my hot glue gun sitting there worked great. So making the messy bow, you're going to love this, and I have updated mine by Country Charm Tracy's inspiration, watching her, and also watching Kathy Joe's DIYs. And you're going to select narrow string, Raffy, ribbon of different sorts. And if you have a wide one, you can cut it in half and cut it down. And I did dovetail these because it really, truly makes it look even great. This pumpkin gross grain ribbon I got from Dollar Tree a long time ago. I would love to get my hands on more, but I haven't seen any in the last couple of years. And I've just been using what little bit I've got there. And this is a messy bow. You grab a string, any kind of leftover fabric. This, we're going to tear this fabric and cut it in half, and that just messiness of it and the ridginess, lots of texture. And the orange burlap ribbon, it was a 2.5-inch ribbon. I cut it in half. I left the wire in it. Taken some baker's twine, some burlap ribbon left over, some fabric left over that's been torn of the homespun, and start stacking it. Just mix it up and put all kinds in there. And you can stack it as thick as you want to your heart's content, and just layer it. Grab you a piece of jute twine, and you want to cut off a good size amount to make sure you've got plenty, and you'll use the tails for decorating as well. You'll tie into a knot in the center very tight, and I put a third tie on there just for more stability. Once you get that third tie in there, you'll have your tails, and just start bushing it out and massaging and working your ribbon to spread it out, and they are just absolutely gorgeous. I glued one in the center of my pumpkins, even though I made 3. Those little paper sunflowers, put one right in the middle, and voila, she's a beauty. And these are truly an easy make favorite for your fall decor. This next favorite is the night light. You can use either one that Dollar Tree has along with the cling sheets. I saw this on a TikTok and thought you would enjoy it. It's become very popular among all of the designers, showing this to homeowners. So I picked this pumpkin and placed it on it. And as you can see, the stem goes beyond the top and it's a little too snug. So I trimmed it off with my scissors and I cut some of the pumpkin stem off as well. When I trimmed away the excess vinyl, placed it onto the nightlight flatness, and the clean sheet is the perfect size. So let's do her up and make her look smashing for fall. Beautiful fall decor, just a little cheer that you can put around in the house, and you'll love this. Take your black Sharpie marker and write anything you want on there. I selected Happy Fall, y'all. I took my orange marker, Sharpie marker, and I started going on the outskirts of the pumpkin to give it a little more oomph. It really, truly looks very dull with the clean sheets, and I need more color. I love the brightness, and I love orange. It's one of my favorite colors. So just going around and down at the bottom, giving it more dimension where it's accentuated with the black. I grabbed my brown paint marker and did the stem because the green just wasn't really working for me. It just didn't look good at all. And colored in the stem. Then I decided to go over the black markings that they used for their indentions on this fall pumpkin nightlight. And this is an easy make nightlight. This one in my bathroom, it turns sideways, but you see the LED light is blue. It's just gorgeous. And I decided to take it into the kitchen, and I really liked it. It looks good. I love the colors. It looks better. And at night you can see it and read it. But I brought it into the kitchen and I liked it better in there next to the coffee bar and where we charge our phones. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Until the next DIY, I'll be crafting, y'all. This is Elizabeth, and go ahead and select you another fall video to enjoy. Bye now.